Now, measures to protect people in England shielding from coronavirus are set to be relaxed from the end of July. There are currently just over 2 million people who've not left their homes during the lockdown because of a pre-existing health condition and unable until recently to see family or friends. The latest official figure is that 15 deaths linked to coronavirus were registered in the last 24-hour period. Now, that figure is always significantly lower after the weekend, and it brings the total number of deaths so far to 42,647 across the UK. Our health editor Hugh Pym has more on the figures, and he's been speaking to some of those who've been shielding in recent months.
Voices of the shielded during lockdown. They've had support, including food parcels.
Inside we have a loaf of bread.
Because I have a serious health condition, I'm not allowed to go out or go shopping and all that kind of stuff.
It's really good. I wasn't expecting it.
But the food parcels will stop. Shielding in England will formally end, though there'll still be some support from volunteers and councils. Charlie, who has an immune deficiency, isn't concerned about the food parcels. Since last month, she's been enjoying limited freedom for shielded people to go out. But she's a teacher and due back at work in September. She says she's worried about leaving home.
I won't be going shopping for a while. I still don't feel secure out there. So to be honest, I'm not sure how long I will continue to stay indoors. I think I'm still quite anxious about everything, really.
I raised the concerns of people like Charlie at the Downing Street briefing.
What reassurances can you give them that will be understood and they will get full support?
It's so important that employers work with us and crucially work with their employees to support them to get back to work in a COVID secure environment. And it's critical that work is provided in a COVID secure way for people who are shielding.
But health charities say when shielding ends, statutory sick pay won't be available, so people may be obliged to go back to work even if they feel it's unsafe to do so.
We're really calling on the government to step in, and for those people who judge their own risks to be so great that they should stay at home, that they should still receive financial support and support in getting shopping and medicine so that they can stay at home if that is the right thing for them.
Shielding will end in England on the 31st of July. In Scotland it'll be reviewed but continue at least till the end of July. Northern Ireland's scheme, like England's, is due to end at that time. The Welsh Government says it'll continue till the 16th of August and possibly longer. In England, from July the 6th, those who've been shielding will, like others now, be able to meet up to 5 people outdoors and, if appropriate, form a bubble with another household.
Come on then. Come on.
Charlie, though, will be looking for more reassurances about the risks after shielding comes to a close at the end of the month. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
Now, the Prime Minister is expected to announce tomorrow that the 2-metre social distancing rule in England is to be reduced to 1 metre with additional safety guidelines as part of a package to boost economic activity, especially in the hospitality industry. But ministers warn that they will change the policy if there's a risk of another peak in the pandemic. The changes would bring England in line with much of the rest of Europe, but the rule is still under review in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, as our political editor Laura Kunsberg explains now.
Not much room for manoeuvre for ministers or for business owners like Lindsay in Derbyshire, who's already spent cash to get the doors open, keeping everyone 2 metres apart, a distance that's soon to fall.
That proved quite expensive. It cost us for the 3 shops over £2,000 just for the screens and the signage. And here we are now saying that we're going to go for the 1 metre rule, which means that all of that money that was spent was wasted.
You've got to do it with your right. You've got to.
For days, the Prime Minister's been saying, watch this space.
Well done for
2 metre rules mark the floors of classrooms, the pavements of High Street and the queues at the supermarket.
You get out, I'll get here. Yeah.
But tomorrow Boris Johnson's expected to say
yes,
it can come down to 1 metre in England. Their hopes, not just easier for schools, but easier to find our new normal.
It's absolutely right that there are some natural restrictions as to how far schools can go in terms of welcoming children back. We'll look, as guidance changes within government, as to how we do everything that needs to be put in place so that every child is back in the classroom in September.
There's good reason for caution, though. While all shops have been able to open in Wales today, It's sticking with the 2-metre rule for now. And 175 workers at a food factory in Anglesey have tested positive for the virus. The disease is fading, but it is not forgotten. In Northern Ireland, up to 6 people will be able to meet indoors from tomorrow as long as they keep their distance. But Scotland is also following 2 metres for now.
This isn't just a straightforward black and white binary issue. It's not the case that there is a safe distance. Risk increases the shorter the distance you have. So you have to consider the environment that is in, you have to consider other mitigations, and you have to consider the risk overall. And I think it's important that these things are done carefully.
And opening up might not avoid businesses closing down. Along with the change from 2 metres to 1 in England, hotels and B&Bs should be able to open from July the 4th too. The kitchen hasn't been serving, and there's been no swimming in the pool at this Kent hotel for 3 months. And the owners can't be sure if the sums will add up on the other side.
For us, unfortunately, our costs have spiralled, our loans have had to be increased, and we face reopening with a very, very uncertain future ahead of us. We don't know whether our business will survive or not.
The coronavirus crisis has touched every corner of our country and every part of our lives. And in the first phase, grappling with the disease itself came before everything else for the government. But now that risk is fading somewhat and economic hardship is here for many. Ministers are ready to move. But if the disease came roaring back up, any easing off would be clamped back down. Tomorrow, the government's advice that shaped our streets and our lives will change again. The next phase in an extraordinary time, with risks that simply can't be known yet, still round the corner. Laura Kunzberg, BBC News, Westminster.